Hello, I'm Jared.
And I'm Ebony, and this is his.
And hers, Warhammer 40k.
Yay.
Yay. Today we are jumping in with a fairly controversial topic.
Yeah, you guys asked us to do things that aren't just reviews of books, like to talk about the lore and real-world implications from the Warhammer universe and Warhammer and other mediums, and we have decided to take the most controversial approach possible for our first.
Yeah, we're jumping right into the deep end on this one. We might regret making this video, but we'll see how it goes. We're talking about female Space Marines today.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure will either bring in way more views or will immediately turn all of you off. So
yeah, I don't know. Tell us in the comments if you hate it or if you love it.
Yeah.
Or other things you want us to do.
Yeah, give us more ideas to talk about. We can banter about all sorts, anything 40k. Pretty much except how to play the tabletop.
Yeah,
that one's a little beyond us.
Yeah, we don't do a lot of that.
No.
All right.
Ladies
Space Marines.
Yeah. Ladies first.
Oh, this lady has a controversial opinion on Lady Space Marines.
Yeah.
I think that the idea of having female Space Marines for the purpose of having female fans feel included in their hobby, right, and having them be represented the same way I feel about having, I don't know, black people in horror stories, right? Like it's about having that fan base feel included. I am pro that. I think that more women should read Warhammer books and play Warhammer if they want to play it. I don't personally feel as a fan and a reader of the universe that there need to be female Space Marines, which I bet is not what a lot of female fans think. So
okay.
A little controversial. No. Not that I don't support women in the hobby. I feel like Games Workshop could do things like make Sisters of Battle super cool. Like, I get that the Space Marines are the faction.
They tried to give Sisters of Battle more of a spotlight. Mm-hmm. The 9th edition trailer features the Sisters very prominently and in equal measure with the Space Marines. And we thought that there was going to be more of a focus on that going forward, a little bit with the Pariah Nexus type stuff.
Okay.
But it's not the same.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Now, my opinion
I'm excited. I want to hear this.
Okay. I plan to sort of play both sides of this. I've heard dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of arguments relating to female Space Marines at this. So I'm open to playing devil's advocate on all sides of this.
Okay.
But my personal opinion on this is I don't think that there needs to be female Space Marines.
Okay.
But I'm not opposed to their inclusion. Mm-hmm. But if they were to be included, I would like it to be from a non-lore perspective. I want a hard retcon, which is really controversial from my understanding.
Which is, if I'm understanding you right, is just like there are female Space Marines. There have always been female Space Marines. We're not talking about it.
They need to scatter some examples throughout history, obviously, through the Horus Heresy, the Age of Apostasy, and the modern times.
Okay.
But I think by drawing attention to it,
by being like, Belisarius Cawl made female Space Marines.
Or Fabius Bile did, or someone else.
Okay.
Like, I think by making that a lore element, you open the doors for people to make lore elements in opposition to it. You make it a topic.
I see. You're saying do it, but don't make it a topic. Just be like, this is a thing.
Right.
And you just don't know about it because you never heard about this chapter of Lady Marines.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah,
I know a lot of people don't like that because
I would support a lore inclusion actually, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I understand that it's jarring and it's easily the biggest retcon that would ever occur within 40k. But I would be very concerned about an in-lore reason because then at that point every in-universe character has to have an opinion on it. Mm. You know, it's a thing. It's like when Primarchs were first introduced. We spent 2+ years of lore just getting the first impressions of dozens of different characters.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And I don't feel that we would need that if female Space Marines were introduced.
I don't know. I'm pro, like, doing it in lore just because I think that it would be cool. Like, I am pro, like, listening to all of the chapters getting their first component of Primaris Marines. Like, I think that's cool. I get how that might get tiring by the 57th book. Of
I have steered you away from most of the books that cover that, other than Dark Imperium, which is sort of the main one.
Yeah, when that happens in Dark Imperium, I think it's cool. So I would think it would be cool for female Space Marines.
Was it cool when the Space Wolves did it?
No, because you were just like, hurry up and accept these Marines.
Was it cool when the Dark Angels did it? You didn't even read that one.
I didn't read
It's not
that.
great.
Yeah.
The Blood Angels one, you should know when the Blood Angels occurred.
I don't know.
Because you keep thinking that you read Devastation of Baal and you didn't. We'll get around to that one eventually.
Okay.
All right, that's off track.
Topic.
Yeah.
Back to Lady Space Marines.
So, what other reasons do you feel?
There need to be Lady Space Marines?
Or that there don't need to be?
I don't know. For me, it's kind of like, and I get that this is a fictional universe. I just feel like it kind of is, I don't know, it's kind of like if Yoda was suddenly like a 40-year-old Asian man.
I don't follow.
Like, it feels unnecessary. Like,
why does it feel unnecessary?
Well, I guess, why does it feel necessary to everyone else is my question.
So from the pros side of it,
okay,
the main arguments that I have heard relate to the fact that Space Marines are the poster child.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and nothing else even comes close.
I would agree with that.
Yes, there's the Sisters of Battle. Mm-hmm. They try to push them a little bit. No other faction is as much of a blank slate while maintaining sort of the core elements of badassness that you find within Space Marines.
Okay.
Sisters of Battle, as cool as they are so tied to their Catholic Church roots.
Yes. It's a very specific type of character.
Right.
Yes.
Like, yes, there are
no matter what.
There are different orders and they have different tactics, but I guarantee you I could put 5 major Space Marine chapters out and people would know each one immediately. I put 5 different Sisters orders out, people would be lucky to get 2 of them.
Yeah, but I feel like that's a laziness on the Games Workshop part, not necessarily a detraction of the universe. Like, I think Sisters could be a big deal and they could be made to be a big deal. Games Workshop has just chosen not to make them a big deal.
I just feel there isn't enough room within the sororitas to make them your own. You know, it always, unless you sort of allow for wildly different religious beliefs within the sisters. You know, we don't ever see the Valkyrie sisters. We never see like ancient Aztec warriors. We never see, you know, any of these other cultures that you could easily slap on top of a Space Marine chapter and no one would bat an eye at it.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with you, and I'm not disagreeing that there shouldn't be female Space Marines, but it feels very much like only for the purpose of having this representation, and I personally feel like I am personally not offended by the lack of female Space Marines. It doesn't mean I'm right. I don't know, it feels very like, I don't know, it just feels like a thing that doesn't need changing. Maybe it's just that I've read hundreds of Space Marine books, and so thus Space Marines are fine for me. If they were women, would it change that? I don't think it would change it for me. But because I think because it wouldn't matter to me, it feels unnecessary. Does that make sense?
I suppose.
Yeah.
I think you need to try and like get outside of the personal mindset.
Which, to be fair, to be clear, internet people, outside of my personal belief, do I think that Games Workshop should make Space Marines expressly for the purpose, make them female expressly for the purpose of representing their female fan base? Yes. Do I think they're going to do that? No. Lore-wise, do I personally think it's necessary? Also a no.
Now, there were some other avenues that unfortunately they did not take, mainly involving the Custodes. So,
as in make female Custodes.
Yeah, or Custodes, which is apparently...
Custodes is the worst word
yeah,
ever.
we will not be calling them custard toadies.
Custard. That's great.
Yeah.
Now I will never unhear that, just so you know.
So for a long time, just another sidebar, the word Astartes was banned for an entire edition.
Why?
Because one of the Games Workshop writers came to America and heard Americans reading it as ass tarts. And he's
And
like,
he'll never unhear that.
and he's like, banned. Space Marines only.
Astartes.
And that lasted a while. Like, you did
Astartes.
not see the word Astartes for a long time. At least not in, like, a codex.
Well, now that you say it that way, I think, yeah, it could be Astartes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So female custodes.
Female Custodes.
Aaron Dembski-Bowden brought up the possibility of this when he was involved in two main things. He wrote Masters of Mankind, which was obviously the first major book to feature custodes as a main character.
Yeah.
They were in the first Heretic, they were in the Thousand Sons, but kind of secondary roles.
Yeah.
He was also involved around the same time with the creation of the Custodes Codex.
Okay.
When they finally got their models and were released.
And he was like, ladies.
Right.
And Games Workshop said, no.
Well, there was nothing in the lore stopping it from happening.
Okay.
And their creation process is so different from
than
Space Marines
yeah.
that it seemed reasonable of an inclusion.
Yeah.
Now, the reason we ended up not getting them is because by the time he suggested it, the models had already been made. And Games Workshop said, there are no female models, so there will be no female custodes. Which I think is a bullshit reason.
Okay.
But
that is fair if you are a company. Like, I
put
get
a
that.
head swap somewhere. You're done.
I feel like on our end, we feel like that is a crappy choice. Yeah. But, like, as a company, it's like, well, we have 10 million dude faces, so they're dudes. Yeah. And we're not about to go print separate faces. I get it. Mm-hmm. I'm not against that. But I could get behind female custodes, and I could get behind female Primarchs, actually. But if you could make female Primarchs, you could make female Space Marines.
Yes. That's a whole other thing. The number of fan cannons that have one of the missing legions as female.
One of those missing Primarchs could be a lady. We don't know. I mean, we do know.
We do actually know, because Malkador said that none of them were.
That seems like a specific thing that he would... Why did he say that?
Oh, because he mentions after some of the Primarchs are like arguing or fighting, he mentions offhand, like, I told the Emperor you should have made sisters.
Sisters would be worse than brothers.
Yeah, a lot of people commented that. They're like, Malkador clearly never grew up with sisters.
Yeah, sisters would definitely be worse than brothers. But yeah, I could get behind female custodes. It's so different than making a Space Marine from what we're told in the lore.
Now, I think the other reason that we did not end up with female custodes is because the male custodes as a contrast to the Sisters of Silence.
Okay.
Which they sort of became this pair.
Where you always see them together.
I don't love that, and they've sort of built the tabletop rules, from what I understand, around running them as a pair.
Yeah.
You really can't run a Sisters of Silence exclusive army.
Okay. I like the Sisters of Silence.
They are quite interesting.
Yeah, I feel like Sisters of Silence, Sisters of Battle, like, we could make them cooler. We don't have to modify an existing faction.
But that's another one. Like, I can't even tell you the difference between different Sisters of Silence groups. I don't even know, like, what's the word?
Like, hierarchy of...
No, not the hierarchy, but, like, the group noun for the Sisters of Silence.
What's the group noun for the Sisters of Battle?
An order.
Oh, yeah, I don't know that. I don't know that it's order for the Sisters. I've only ever encountered one at a time. Yeah.
I'm sure I could look it up, but I can't immediately tell you what it was.
Yeah, but again, that's a Games Workshop failing, not a setting failing. I don't think that the setting is failing women. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Do I think Games Workshop could be failing its women fans? Yes. Do I think that this fictional setting is failing women? No, I see lots of women characters in 40K.
Now, there are some who believe that the Sisters of Battle, and by extension the Sisters of Silence, are not good for this purpose because they're over-sexualized.
I don't think of either of them as over-sexualized.
No?
But there's a lot of heels and breastplates among Sisters of Battle. I don't know, as a lady with boobs, if I had to wear armor, my armor you would probably be able to tell I had boobs in it.
Or they would just put the armor out further and make it flat.
I guess you could do, but then what's in that empty space between your boobs and your stomach?
Nothing. Air.
Padding?
Or padding, yeah.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I think that is a fantasy, sci-fi, general universe thing. You never see a female warrior that you can't tell is a female at glance.
Sure you do. It's just not the ones that you tend to read.
I guess, but I feel like it's also very rare. I feel like you could always tell that is a female.
Okay. If that's the angle you want to take on that.
Yeah, but like, no, I'm not saying they could not wear the high heels. They definitely could not wear the high heels. If I were fighting someone, it wouldn't be in high heels.
No.
I mean, I may have had 1 or 2 fights in high heels, but I don't recommend it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But like, yeah, I guess they could be less sexy.
There are...
Or as sexy as each individual sister wants to be. I guess that's a good answer.
But then you don't have uniformity within the model line, which is important.
Well, that's a production problem, yeah. I feel like individual sisters may or may not be sexy. I assume that the cuirass is group made in their fortress. I'm just guessing.
Okay.
And thus, if the cuirass has boobs, then everyone has boobs. Whether you have them under there or not. Right.
So there are some arguments that the armor was made like that
because the Ecclesiarchy can't have men at
because of
arms.
the decree passive.
Yeah.
And it's purposefully over-exaggerated to ensure that
you
is...
know it's a lady.
Yeah.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, there are sisters who are in giant, basically knights, right?
Oh, the Paragon war suits.
Like, you wouldn't know that was a lady.
Yes, you would, because it's only their shoulders and up. The Paragon war suits are real weird.
Are their legs just their regular little legs?
Uh-huh.
That seems uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, now I want to quickly look up a picture of them.
Do they wear heels and then just giant shoulder guards?
Let's see.
That sounds terrible and uncomfortable, but I guess it's power armor, so it's light. I don't know. Yeah, I guess what else is on your list for reasons we need Lady Marines?
Well,
although you are neutral also.
I'm more on the neutral side than I would say, but in terms of adding them, I don't think any of the in-lore reasons are particularly strong.
Okay.
For their exclusion.
So the writing that you need male children to successfully make Space Marines.
Well, the biological side of it, in terms of it is tied to male chromosomes.
All right. Okay. At the risk of getting canceled by the internet, I will put on my professional biologist hat and say that there are genetic differences between males and females. There are things that make females more immunosuppressive than males, right? There are genetic differences at the cellular level between males and females. And so maybe at the start of making Primarchs and Space Marines, the Emperor tried both males and females, and he got 10% success with males and 2% success with females. Given that data, as a scientist, I would take the easy route and do just males. That doesn't mean he couldn't do it. It just means that it was easier.
But is that worth excluding 50% of the human population?
I guess it depends. I gave, crappy numbers where I said it's 10% males and 1% females. But if it were something like 60% success rate with males and 1% success rate with females, then yes, because you're only adding 1% more of success. Right? Why would you do the harder thing as a scientist? That doesn't mean that in the magical genomics of the Emperor's time, he couldn't figure a way around it.
Yeah.
Which I vote that for our next non-book video.
Which one? How
you make a Space Marine and the genetics of that and what is that.
Oh, you want to go through the implants?
Yeah, I would totally be down for that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I could see a genetic reason as a scientist that you might choose males over females.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you figure out how to work around it? Probably. But why would you do it? Why would you make it harder for yourself than you have to?
I mean, so there is some evidence that it does work.
Okay.
A little bit.
In females.
And it comes from the false Space Marines. Corferon, Luther. There are other Knights of Caliban.
Right, they're made as adults too, right?
Yes,
They're past.
they're adults. Right.
I'm assuming there is something appropriate happening in human males and or females at the time that Space Marines are made, that milieu of chemicals and or hormones is necessary.
Well, it's puberty.
Right, I'm assuming that thing is part of the process, so it's weird to make it from a grown-ass man.
Well, usually it's just to give them some sort of enhancement.
Right.
So it's usually like certain implants.
Okay.
And I don't even know if they have the black carapace. I guess they must.
Maybe.
Anyway, there are some Knights of Caliban that were female. And
Okay.
it was said offhand that some of them were also included in that.
Okay. Yeah, so you could do it. Which implies that you probably could do it in females at around puberty time. Maybe with some modifications. And I assume we never get the detailed science in Warhammer, so I'm assuming they don't tell you what's different about doing it to adult females versus adult males.
No. There was very little related to the false Astartes creation process.
No, I think that's very cool. And also a way to add female characters.
I suppose.
No?
No, I mean, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
You know, in introducing that, because it's very often that female characters are whoever's piloting your ship at the time.
Yeah, I do. I often, even when I write in Warhammer, I often make my captains female,
Yeah.
and I think it's because every captain I've ever read in Warhammer is a lady, which
Not every one of them,
But-
but a lot.
a lot of them, right? Yeah. And I don't mean they're badass great ladies, so I like it. But like it is an odd place to just stick a lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of like female bridge crew, I feel like, on spaceships. Which I'm pro that too.
Okay.
Are we missing anything?
I'm sure there's plenty of other arguments. These arguments have gone on for hundreds of pages for the last 25 plus years.
Yeah.
So it's always a thing. Maybe one day it'll happen. Probably it won't.
I mean, I hope it happens for the sake of the fan base for Games Workshop. I don't think it's necessary, but I get that you want your fans to feel comfortable in your fictional universe. And you want to represent all your fans. And not only men play the tabletop game, not only men read Warhammer. So put some more ladies in there.
I see. Okay.
But like, I don't think those ladies have to be Space Marines.
Yeah, but people want to play Space Marines.
I guess, yeah. I mean, maybe I have the bias of not being a player. Like, I just enjoy painting the models. And I've never... I guess I'm painting some Lady Votan right now. They're not all ladies, but some of them are ladies. Because I decided they were. Actually, all their heads are dudes, I think. But
No, that is absolutely not true.
No? Okay.
I went when I built those models for you, I went through and it's definitely like a 70-30 split.
Okay, good.
Female to male.
All right. I just arbitrarily looked at someone and I was like, "You're getting lipstick today." So like I made it. They're probably 50% ladies now that I've painted them. But yeah, I don't know. I love it when I see a model of a Space Marine with a lady head on it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen them online.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of the other argument of it. Models are models.
Yeah.
Paint your models, build
However
your
you
models
want.
however you want.
Yeah.
Like irrelevant to anything else, and it always will be irrelevant to anything else.
Yeah, I mean you're not restricted by the actual lore on the tabletop, right?
Depends on who you're playing sometimes.
I guess if you're playing someone who's being a douche, but like your models your whole entire Space Marine army could be ladies. Just steal some Sisters of Battleheads and stick them on them.
Some of them I don't know if they fit.
Probably too small.
No,
Yeah.
there's custom heads that people have ordered.
That's really cool. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we feel neutral as overall about Lady Space Marines.
I would just be most opposed to them just being made by a character in universe.
Okay.
Because I just think it will create a target on that character, like whoever ends up doing it.
Well, like Fabius Bile has a lady new human, right?
Well, the new men are a separate thing.
Okay.
And then there's I'm forgetting his name. The Magos from Harrowmaster. He had a pair of female bodyguards, but he explicitly says these are not Space Marines.
Which was unnecessary, but yeah, I guess. Yeah, no, I'm not against it being done by a character. I'm also not against the idea of it's done by a character. That character gets a target on their back. People talk about it, and Games Workshop goes, and the rest of the universe decided, yeah, that seems fine, and now there are Lady Space Marines. I think that's a fine in. But I do get your point about if you write it in, then you leave that hole for people to fight against you.
Yeah.
And humans are going to be humans. We like to fight about things.
You know, if you want things to be definitive, you have to make an inclusion outside of lore. And then the people who are going to leave are leaving because of non-lore reasons.
Does that happen?
Oh, sure. Like, when there's an actual retcon of something.
How often does Games Workshop retcon in Warhammer?
Like, explicit retcons?
Yeah.
Let's say, like, 2 or 3 times a decade.
Oh, that's a lot, actually.
Well, some of them are pretty small. But, like, a lot of the Necron lore, for instance, when their 5th edition codex came out. Like, it's usually, when they do retcons, it's less, this is no longer canon, this is, and it's more of, we put out this thing, it is 100% in contradiction to this other thing. We are never mentioning the other thing again. We're not going to tell you we're never mentioning the other thing again, but we're never mentioning it again.
Okay. And I mean, there is a downside for them, right? If they just are like, there are Lady Space Marines, there always have been, then they gotta, like, I don't know, write books and print models and do stuff, right? And
but they'd have to do that anyway.
I guess, yeah. I guess if they add them by lore, they'd have to do it too. And that probably just isn't a thing that they want to do from a fiscal standpoint.
Correct. I don't think monetarily it would
be
much.
Worthwhile for them. Yeah. So I guess we are slightly positive on Lady Space Marines. We're leaving it up to you guys.
We're leaving it up to interpretation
Yeah.
and how we're going to end this.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just sort of our thoughts, just some more rambling. Give us some ideas of what we can talk about. Keeping in mind that we don't play the tabletop. Like,
No.
we have plenty of models, but the actual war game is a little beyond us.
Yeah, but lore stuff we could probably do.
Yeah.
Most lore stuff.
Yeah, or we'll research it.
Yeah. All right. Well,
thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah, this was fun.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
All right.
We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.